The morning sun had just begun to cast its golden light over the small countryside farm. Birds chirped from the trees and the soft rustle of leaves filled the air. Emily, the farmer's daughter, was already awake, busy with her chores. She moved quickly, gathering eggs from the chicken coop, stacking them carefully in a wicker basket. Her hands were skilled from years of helping her father, but she still hummed a little tune, light and carefree as she worked. Life on the farm was not easy, but Emily found comfort in the rhythm of the days and the small joys it offered. Her father, a kind but weary man, was tending to the fields, plowing rows with the help of a tired horse. He often glanced at Emily with pride. Though life demanded hard work, he believed in raising his daughter with care and teaching her the values of honesty, responsibility, and respect. Emily loved her father dearly, and she took every opportunity to assist him. Even small tasks like watering plants or carrying heavy baskets gave her a sense of purpose. That day, a visitor arrived in the village nearby. Jake, a young cowboy, rode slowly on his horse along the dusty road. He was strong, with broad shoulders and steady eyes that hinted at both determination and kindness. He was well known in the surrounding areas as a dependable man, quiet but capable. He had come to deliver supplies that the farm needed: bags of grain, sacks of vegetables, and tools for the field. Jake's horse clopped rhythmically on the road, and the occasional whinny echoed softly in the open air. When Jake reached the farm, he greeted Emily's father politely. His voice was calm, with a warmth that immediately made the farmer feel at ease. "Good morning, sir," he said. "I have the delivery you requested." The farmer nodded. "Thank you, Jake. Come inside and rest for a moment while I check the delivery list." Emily watched from a distance as Jake unloaded the supplies. She noticed the careful way he handled the sacks, the way he made sure nothing fell or broke. Something about his calm confidence caught her attention. She found herself smiling as she watched him work, but quickly looked away when she realized he had noticed her staring. Her cheeks flushed and she returned to her chores, pretending to be absorbed in the eggs she was gathering. Over the next few days, Jake's visits to the farm became more frequent. Sometimes he helped deliver supplies. Other times he offered to assist with chores that required extra hands. Emily began to recognize him as more than just a visitor. He was someone reliable, someone who cared about doing the right thing. She found herself looking forward to seeing him, curious about his quiet strength and gentle manners. One afternoon, Emily went to the barn to gather hay for the animals. The barn smelled of fresh straw, a mixture of earthiness and warmth. She carried a bundle of hay carefully, balancing it on her hip. Outside, the wind had begun to pick up, rustling the tall grass and whispering through the open doors of the barn. Emily paused, holding onto her skirt as the breeze lifted it slightly. She laughed softly to herself, but her laughter turned into a small gasp when the gust grew stronger. Jake had been nearby, checking on the horse tied outside the barn. He noticed Emily struggling with her skirt and quickly moved closer. "Are you all right?" he asked, concern in his voice. Emily, her face red with embarrassment, replied quickly, "Please, don't lift my skirt." She felt vulnerable and hoped he would understand without needing further explanation. Jake froze for a moment. He had never intended to embarrass her, only to help if she needed it. But as he stepped forward, a sudden movement caused him to accidentally lift the edge of her skirt just a little. Emily gasped loudly, stepping back instinctively. Her heart raced and her cheeks burned with a mixture of fear and surprise. Jake's eyes widened as he realized what had happened. He stepped back immediately, lowering his hands and his gaze, feeling a wave of guilt wash over him. I'm so sorry," he stammered. "I didn't mean to. I swear it was an accident." Emily took a deep breath, trying to calm herself. She saw the sincerity in his eyes, the immediate remorse that mirrored the shame she felt. Although she was frightened for a moment, she began to sense that Jake was not a bad person. He had simply misjudged the situation. For a while, neither of them spoke. The wind continued to blow through the barn, lifting small dust particles into the sunlight that streamed through the open doors. Emily clutched the hay bundle to her chest, unsure how to respond. Jake, meanwhile, stood a few steps away, his head slightly bowed, ashamed of what had happened. He had always prided himself on being respectful, yet in one careless moment he had caused distress to someone he admired. This brief incident, small as it seemed, left a mark on both of them. Emily felt a mix of emotions: embarrassment, confusion, and a faint curiosity about the young man who had unintentionally crossed a boundary. Jake felt a heavy weight of guilt and regret. He could not shake the image of Emily's startled expression from his mind. It was a lesson he would never forget, the importance of understanding, caution, and respect in every action. In the days that followed, there was a subtle change in the atmosphere whenever they were near each other. Jake continued to help on the farm, but he kept a respectful distance, making sure to honor her space and comfort. Emily, in turn, began to see him differently. She noticed his quiet gestures of kindness, the way he fed the animals carefully, repaired broken fences, and helped her father with heavy tasks without complaint. Slowly, she began to trust him again, recognizing that his remorse was genuine. Their interactions were no longer filled with awkward tension, but with a cautious curiosity. Emily found herself asking for his advice on certain chores, and Jake responded with patience and understanding. Each small exchange built a bridge of trust between them, a connection forged from honesty and the human capacity to forgive. One evening, as the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Emily paused near the barn, looking at the field stretching out before her. Jake approached quietly, carrying a small bucket of water for the animals. He stopped a few steps away, hesitant to intrude but wanting to ensure that Emily was all right. "I brought water for the horses," he said softly, keeping his tone neutral but kind. "I hope that's okay." Emily nodded, appreciating the gesture. "Thank you, Jake. That's very thoughtful." He smiled faintly, a mixture of relief and lingering guilt in his expression. "I just want to help," he said. "I never want to make anyone uncomfortable." Emily really looked at him, and realized that despite the earlier incident, he was sincere. He was a man who respected boundaries and understood the weight of his actions. She felt a quiet admiration for him, the kind that slowly grows when one sees someone's true character beneath mistakes and misunderstandings. From that day onward, Emily and Jake continued to interact on the farm, their relationship marked by subtle trust and cautious friendship. They learned to navigate their feelings carefully, aware of the past but willing to move forward. The moment in the barn had been difficult, but it had also taught them both a valuable lesson about respect, understanding, and the complexity of human emotions. As the night fell, the farm grew quiet. The stars began to twinkle in the clear sky above, and the soft hoot of an owl echoed from the nearby woods. Emily went inside carrying her basket of hay, while Jake checked the animals one last time before settling down near his horse. Both were filled with thoughts of the day, reflections on mistakes, and hopes for a better tomorrow. Though the incident had caused a moment of fear and discomfort, it also opened a door to something unexpected, a connection that was honest, real, and full of potential. Both Emily and Jake were changed in small ways, learning the importance of empathy, patience, and the courage to face one's own errors, and so, life on the farm continued, with its daily routines, challenges, and quiet beauty. But beneath the surface, a new understanding was taking root, a bond between two young people, fragile yet growing, built on trust, sincerity, and the shared recognition that human beings are capable of mistakes, forgiveness, and something quietly extraordinary. The morning air was crisp, carrying the scent of fresh grass and soil. Emily woke early, as she always did, to help her father with the farm chores. The memory of the incident in the barn was still in the back of her mind, but it no longer made her heart race with fear. Instead, it reminded her of how careful people could be, and how mistakes could happen even with good intentions. She moved quietly, feeding the chickens and gathering eggs, her hands busy but her thoughts wandering to Jake. Jake had arrived at the farm shortly after sunrise, as was now his habit. He brought with him a quiet presence that seemed to fill the open spaces of the farm without intruding. He greeted Emily with a polite nod, and though neither spoke much at first, there was an unspoken understanding between them. They were learning to navigate the delicate space of trust, slowly bridging the gap that the earlier incident had created. That day, the sun climbed higher, casting warm light over the fields. Emily's father asked Jake to help repair a broken fence near the edge of the farm. The fence had been damaged by the previous week's storm, and it was important to fix it before the livestock wandered off. Jake worked steadily, lifting heavy posts and hammering nails with precision. Emily watched him from a distance, carrying tools to him when needed, noticing the careful attention he paid to every task. After some time, Emily approached him more closely. "Do you want me to hold the post while you hammer?" she asked, her voice soft but steady. Jake looked at her, appreciating her offer. "Thank you, Emily. That would help a lot," he replied with a small smile. The two of them worked together, the rhythm of their labor creating a quiet bond. Each nail driven into the post, each piece of wood set in place, was a step toward mutual trust and understanding. During a short break, they sat together under the shade of a large oak tree. Jake handed Emily a bottle of water, and she took it gratefully. "I'm sorry again for the other day," he said, his voice sincere. "I never meant to embarrass you, I misjudged the moment." Emily shook her head slightly. "I know, Jake, you didn't mean it. And I can see that you're trying to be careful now. I appreciate that." Her words were simple, but they carried weight. For the first time since the incident, she felt a sense of relief and a little warmth in her chest. They returned to the fence, working quietly side by side. The tension that had once lingered was easing, replaced by a gentle camaraderie. Emily noticed how Jake's movements were deliberate, how he made sure she was safe while handling the heavy tools. She realized that his respect was genuine, not just for her but for everyone around him. As the sun began to dip lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the farm, Emily carried the last few pieces of wood to the repaired fence. Jake followed, placing the tools neatly in a pile. They stood together, looking at the finished work. The fence was sturdy and secure, a symbol not just of protection for the livestock, but of the growing trust between them. "Thank you for helping," Emily said, her voice calm but sincere. "I couldn't have done this alone," Jake nodded. "It was my pleasure. I like helping, and I like helping you too," he said, his tone careful, choosing his words with thought. Emily smiled softly, feeling a warmth spread through her chest. She could see that he meant what he said. It was not just a passing gesture. It was a commitment to do right by her, to earn her trust. She realized that despite the earlier awkwardness, Jake's presence was becoming a comforting part of her life. Over the next few days, their bond continued to grow. Jake helped with chores, carried heavy loads, repaired broken tools, and even assisted in the kitchen when Emily's father was busy in the fields. Emily noticed the small gestures of kindness that he performed without expectation of reward, cleaning the barn quietly, arranging the feed neatly, and always being attentive to the needs of the animals. One evening, as the sky turned a deep shade of orange, Emily was walking along the edge of the fields carrying water to the garden. Jake followed, carrying a small basket of vegetables he had picked earlier. They walked side by side, the quiet of the evening surrounding them. "Emily," Jake began cautiously, "I hope you know that I respect you. I would never want to hurt you, and I hope you can trust me again." Emily looked at him, her eyes thoughtful. "I do trust you, Jake. I can see that you are sincere, and I want to be able to rely on you, just like you rely on me." Her words were steady, honest, and they brought a sense of relief to both of them. That night, the farm was quiet except for the soft sounds of animals settling in for the evening. Emily went to bed thinking about Jake, feeling a strange but comforting connection. She realized that even though mistakes could happen, forgiveness and understanding could turn a difficult moment into something meaningful. Days turned into weeks, and Jake became a regular presence on the farm. Emily's father trusted him completely, seeing the respect and care he showed his daughter. Emily, in turn, learned to value the quiet strength and honesty that Jake possessed. Their friendship grew steadily, marked by shared tasks, laughter, and quiet moments of conversation. One afternoon, a heavy rainstorm passed through the countryside. Emily and Jake were in the barn, securing loose hay and ensuring that the animals were safe. The rain drummed against the roof and the wind rattled the doors, but inside the barn there was a sense of safety and companionship. They worked together without speaking much, their actions synchronized, each aware of the other's presence. After the storm, the sun broke through the clouds, casting a rainbow across the fields. Emily and Jake stood outside, looking at the vibrant colors stretching across the sky. It was a moment of beauty and calm, a reward after days of hard work and quiet tension. Emily felt a sense of peace, knowing that trust had been rebuilt and that their bond had grown stronger. In the following months, Jake continued to help on the farm, and Emily's admiration for him deepened. She noticed the little things, The way he remembered to water the plants, how he repaired broken fences before her father even asked, and the quiet way he offered help whenever it was needed. She realized that his respect and care were not temporary. They were a part of who he was. One evening, as the sun set over the fields, painting the sky in soft pinks and purples, Jake approached Emily once more. He stood a few feet away, his expression calm but serious. "Emily, I want you to know that I care about you. I never want to make you feel uncomfortable, and I hope we can continue to trust each other." Emily looked at him, her heart full. She nodded slowly. "I know, Jake, and I care about you too. We both learned a lot, and I think we understand each other better now." They shared a quiet smile, a silent agreement that their relationship had moved beyond fear or embarrassment. It was now built on respect, trust, and a shared understanding of human mistakes and forgiveness. They had both grown through the experience, learning the importance of honesty, patience, and compassion. As the night fell and stars appeared in the clear sky, Emily felt a sense of contentment she had never known before. The farm was quiet, but her heart was full. Jake had become more than a visitor. He was a part of her life, someone she could rely on, someone who respected her and valued her trust. And so life on the farm continued. The fields needed tending, the animals needed care, and the daily chores never stopped. But amidst the hard work and simple routines, there was a new sense of connection. A quiet bond that had been forged through understanding, remorse, and forgiveness. Emily and Jake had learned that even difficult moments could lead to something beautiful if met with honesty and care. By the end of that season, they were no longer simply a farmer's daughter and a visiting cowboy. They were friends, allies, and companions in the quiet rhythm of farm life. Each day brought new tasks, challenges, and moments of laughter. And through it all, the memory of that day in the barn remained, not as a moment of shame, but as a lesson in human kindness, understanding, and the power of trust rebuilt. Their story was not about a single mistake, but about the way two people learned to navigate life together, respecting boundaries, valuing honesty, and embracing the small, meaningful gestures that make human connections so special. And in that small farm under the endless sky, a bond grew, quiet, steady, and strong, proving that even fragile trust once broken could be repaired with patience, understanding, and care. The days on the farm settled into a gentle rhythm, with the sun rising and setting over the wide fields, casting golden light over the crops and animals. Emily and Jake had grown accustomed to each other's presence. Their relationship had moved beyond awkwardness and caution. It was now filled with quiet understanding and shared work. Emily found herself noticing small things about Jake. The way he always made sure the animals had enough food, how he fixed broken tools before anyone even mentioned them, and the calm patience he showed whenever a task took longer than expected. One morning, Emily went to the barn to gather fresh hay for the animals. The air was cool and fresh, carrying the smell of damp soil and straw. Jake was already there tending to the horses. He looked up and gave her a gentle nod. "Good morning, Emily. Did you sleep well?" Emily smiled softly. "Yes, thank you." "And you?" Jake shrugged lightly. "I did. It's peaceful here. Makes the day easier to face." Emily felt a warmth in her chest at his words. The peace of the farm seemed to stretch beyond the fields and animals. It seemed to include the small moments they shared. Even when their hands brushed while passing hay or tools, there was a sense of comfort and familiarity instead of awkwardness. As they worked together, the clouds began to gather in the sky. Dark gray streaks rolled in, signaling the coming of a storm. The wind picked up, causing the loose straw to swirl around them. Emily tightened her grip on the bundle of hay she was carrying. "Looks like rain is coming," she said, her voice steady despite the growing wind. Jake nodded. "We should finish quickly then. The animals will need shelter." They moved efficiently, working side by side to secure hay, check the fences, and ensure the animals were safely sheltered in the barn. Emily marveled at how Jake could remain calm even as the wind whipped around them. His steady hands and focused attention reassured her, and she realized just how much she had come to trust him. When the first raindrops began to fall, they were both inside the barn, checking on the animals. The soft patter of rain on the roof filled the space, creating a soothing rhythm. Emily looked at Jake, noticing the way the light caught his hair, making it seem almost golden in the dim barn light. She felt a quiet admiration for him, not just for his strength and skill, but for his integrity and care. Jake caught her gaze and smiled gently. "You've been doing a great job here, Emily. Your father must be proud." Emily blushed slightly. "Thank you, Jake. I try my best." There was a comfortable silence between them as they worked, each lost in their thoughts. The storm outside seemed far away, distant and powerless compared to the calm they shared in the barn. Emily realized that these moments were becoming the most precious part of her days. The quiet hours of work, conversation, and shared understanding with someone she trusted deeply. After the storm passed, the sun broke through the clouds, illuminating the fields with a soft, warm light. Emily and Jake stepped outside to check the animals one last time. The air was fresh and the rain had left a sparkling sheen on the grass and leaves. A rainbow arched across the sky, brilliant and full of color. Emily turned to Jake, her eyes wide with wonder. "Look at that," she said softly. Jake followed her gaze, his face reflecting the same awe. "It's beautiful," he replied. "Moments like this make the hard work worthwhile." They stood side by side, looking at the rainbow in silence. Emily felt a deep sense of peace. Despite the earlier challenges and mistakes, they had found a rhythm together, a connection built on trust, honesty, and care. The storm had passed, and with it, the tension that had once filled their interactions seemed to have dissolved completely. Over the following weeks, their bond continued to grow stronger. Jake helped Emily's father with larger tasks around the farm, plowing fields, repairing fences, and tending to animals that required extra care. Emily, in turn, learned more about Jake's life, his background, and his experiences. She discovered that beneath his quiet strength was a thoughtful, kind-hearted man who valued honesty and respect above all else. One afternoon, Emily was walking to the well to fetch water when she noticed Jake struggling to lift a heavy sack of grain. She ran to help him, and together they carried it to the barn. "You should rest," she said, noticing the strain on his face. Jake shook his head. "I'm fine, Emily, but thank you for helping. You're strong for your size." Emily smiled, feeling a sense of pride and connection. "We make a good team," she said, her voice light but sincere. Jake nodded, a small smile playing on his lips. "We do." Their teamwork extended beyond chores. They began to share small stories, laughing at minor mishaps or recalling memories from their past. Emily told Jake about her childhood on the farm, the times she had helped her mother in the kitchen, and the lessons her father had taught her about hard work and honesty. Jake shared stories of his own life, how he had learned to care for animals, the challenges he had faced on the road, and the people who had shaped him. Through these conversations, Emily realized that their connection went deeper than shared tasks. It was built on understanding and empathy, a mutual recognition of each other's character and values. Jake was not just someone who worked alongside her. He was someone who saw her for who she truly was, someone she could trust completely. One evening, as the sun dipped low and the sky turned shades of pink and purple, Emily and Jake sat on the fence at the edge of the farm, watching the fields stretch out before them. The air was cool, filled with the scents of grass and earth. For a moment, neither spoke. They simply enjoyed the quiet, the peace that came from shared presence. Finally, Jake broke the silence. "Emily," he began carefully, "I want you to know that I will always try to do right by you. You mean a lot to me, and I want to be someone you can rely on." Emily looked at him, her eyes soft and thoughtful. "I know, Jake, and I want you to know that I trust you. I've seen your heart, and it's true and good." A sense of relief and warmth washed over them both. The trust that had been fragile after the barn incident had grown into something steady and strong. They had learned to navigate mistakes, forgive, and move forward with honesty and care. As the evening grew darker, Emily returned to the house to help her father with dinner. Jake followed, offering to carry the last basket of vegetables. The farm was filled with the comforting sounds of daily life, pots clanging softly in the kitchen, the hum of conversation, and the occasional lowing of cattle outside. In these ordinary moments, their bond deepened, quiet but unshakable. Over the next few months, Jake continued to visit the farm regularly. He helped with planting, harvesting, and repairing structures. Emily and he spent time together during work and rest, their conversations full of laughter, thoughtfulness, and shared understanding. Each day, they grew closer, their friendship blossoming naturally, free from fear or awkwardness. One bright morning, Emily noticed Jake tending to the horses with unusual care. A foal had been born recently, and Jake was patiently teaching it to follow and trust humans. Emily watched him, marveling at his gentle approach. He noticed her watching and smiled. "It's amazing how patient they can be when you give them time," he said. Emily nodded. "Just like people, patience and care make all the difference." Jake's smile widened, reflecting a shared understanding. Exactly. From that day on, they approached life on the farm with a new sense of harmony. Challenges that once seemed daunting were now opportunities to work together. Mistakes were met with understanding and reflection. Their relationship, built slowly and carefully, had become a source of strength and comfort for both of them. By the time autumn arrived, the farm was alive with color. Fields of golden crops, red leaves, and clear blue skies painted a picturesque scene. Emily and Jake worked side by side, harvesting the season's yield, repairing fences, and caring for animals. They shared stories, laughter, and quiet moments of companionship. Every day they grew more confident in their trust and admiration for each other. The barn, once a place of tension and misunderstanding, had become a symbol of growth and learning. They had faced a moment that could have divided them, but instead it had taught them the value of patience, understanding, and respect. Emily and Jake had learned that even difficult moments could lead to something meaningful when met with honesty and care. As the sun set over the farm, Emily stood with Jake at the edge of the fields, watching the sky turn shades of pink and orange. "I'm glad we met, Jake," she said softly. Jake looked at her, his eyes reflecting the fading sunlight. "Me too, Emily, more than you know." In that moment, they understood something important. That trust, once rebuilt, could become stronger than before, and that shared understanding and care could turn a simple farm into a place of friendship, respect, and quiet joy. The early morning mist lay soft over the fields, and Emily moved quietly, carrying a basket of freshly picked vegetables from the garden to the barn. The farm was alive with gentle sounds, the lowing of cows, the soft clucking of chickens, and the distant call of birds beginning their day. Emily had grown used to the rhythm of the farm, and each morning brought her a sense of purpose and calm. Jake arrived soon after, leading his horse carefully along the path to the barn. He carried a small bundle of feed for the animals and greeted Emily with a warm, friendly nod. "Good morning, Emily. Looks like another busy day ahead," he said, his voice steady and kind. Emily smiled softly. "Good morning, Jake. Yes, it's always busy, but I like it that way. There's always something to do." They worked together in the barn, securing feed and checking the animals. The rhythm of their movements was comfortable now, passing tools, lifting hay, and carrying water. There was no awkwardness between them, only a shared understanding and quiet cooperation. Each task they completed side by side strengthened the trust and bond that had grown over the past months. After tending to the animals, Jake suggested helping with the newly planted fields. "The seedlings need careful watering," he said. "I can help you, and it will go faster if we work together." Emily agreed, grateful for the assistance. They walked to the fields, carrying watering cans and moving along the neat rows of plants. The soil was soft from the recent rain, and the air smelled fresh and clean. Emily glanced at Jake, noticing how attentive he was to every seedling, making sure none were damaged or overlooked. "You're very careful," she said with admiration. Jake shrugged lightly. "I've learned that small things matter. Taking care of the little things makes a big difference later on." Emily nodded, seeing the truth in his words. She felt proud to work alongside him, knowing that together they were helping the farm thrive. The hours passed quickly, filled with quiet conversation, laughter at minor mistakes, and the satisfaction of shared labor. As midday approached, they paused under the shade of a large tree. Emily offered Jake a drink from her water bottle, and he accepted gratefully. "Thank you, Emily. You always think of others," he said, smiling. Emily blushed slightly. "I try my best. You've done so much already. I just want to help where I can." There was a brief silence, comfortable and natural as they rested. The wind rustled the leaves, carrying the faint scent of wildflowers. Emily realized how much she had come to enjoy these moments. The quiet companionship, the laughter, and even the small challenges they faced together. She felt a growing warmth in her heart, a recognition that Jake had become more than just a helper on the farm. After their break, they continued working, moving to a part of the field that needed extra care. Emily carefully watered the young plants while Jake removed small weeds and checked the irrigation channels. Their movements were coordinated without needing words, each aware of the other's actions and pace. The trust they had built was evident in the ease of their cooperation. Suddenly, a strong gust of wind swept across the fields, scattering leaves and small branches. Emily stumbled slightly, trying to shield the seedlings from the wind. Jake moved quickly to her side, steadying her with a gentle hand on her arm. "Are you all right?" he asked, concern in his voice. Emily nodded, her cheeks flushing lightly. "Yes, thank you. I just didn't expect the wind to be so strong." Jake smiled faintly. "We'll finish this part quickly then. No plant will be left unprotected." Working together, they managed to secure the plants and protect the young seedlings from further damage. The shared effort strengthened their connection, and Emily felt a deep sense of gratitude and trust toward Jake. She realized that he was not only capable and strong but also considerate and kind, qualities that made her respect and admire him even more. Later that afternoon, Emily's father called them over to inspect a broken section of fence near the edge of the property. Jake and Emily worked together to repair it, carefully aligning the wooden posts and hammering nails with steady hands. The work was hard, but the satisfaction of completing it together brought a sense of accomplishment. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the fields, Emily and Jake took a moment to rest. They sat on the fence looking out over the farm. The sky was painted in shades of orange and pink, and the air was filled with the quiet sounds of evening, the soft chirping of crickets, the distant lowing of cows, and the rustling of leaves in the gentle breeze. Emily sighed softly, feeling content and at peace. "It's beautiful," she said, her voice filled with wonder. Jake nodded, glancing at the horizon. "It is, and it feels even better after a hard day's work. There's a reward in seeing what we've accomplished." Emily smiled, feeling a sense of connection that went beyond words. She realized that their bond had grown deeper over time, built on shared effort, respect, and understanding. The moments of laughter, cooperation, and even past mistakes had shaped a friendship that was strong and meaningful. As darkness fell, they returned to the house, helping with evening chores. Emily carried baskets of produce while Jake tended to the animals one last time before nightfall. The routine was familiar and comforting, each action reflecting the trust and cooperation they had developed. Over the following weeks, Jake became more than just a helper on the farm. He was a companion, a friend, and someone Emily could rely on. They shared small moments of laughter, thoughtful conversation, and quiet reflection. Emily admired his honesty, patience, and the respect he showed toward her and her family. One evening, after the day's work was done, Emily and Jake walked together along a path that led to a small pond on the property. The water reflected the soft glow of the setting sun, and the air was filled with the scent of fresh earth and blooming flowers. They paused by the edge of the pond, enjoying the peaceful scene. "I've learned a lot working with you, Jake," Emily said softly. "Not just about farming, but about patience, respect, and kindness. You've shown me what it means to care for someone without expecting anything in return." Jake looked at her, his eyes reflecting the fading light. "And I've learned a lot from you too, Emily. You're hardworking, thoughtful, and brave. You've taught me about trust and understanding. I'm grateful for that." There was a comfortable silence filled with mutual respect and quiet admiration. Emily felt a sense of warmth and gratitude. She realized that their friendship had grown into something meaningful, built on trust, shared experiences, and a deep understanding of one another. As the stars began to appear in the night sky, they made their way back to the house. The farm was quiet, and the gentle sounds of nocturnal animals filled the air. Emily and Jake moved together in a comfortable rhythm, each aware of the other's presence and actions. Over the next several months, their bond continued to strengthen. Jake assisted with planting and harvesting, repairs, and daily chores, always with care and attention. Emily worked alongside him, appreciating his dedication, honesty, and patience. Their friendship deepened, marked by small gestures of kindness, shared laughter, and thoughtful conversations. One day, Emily noticed a young lamb that had wandered away from its mother. Without hesitation, Jake moved to help, carefully guiding the lamb back to safety. Emily watched him, feeling admiration and gratitude. "You always know what to do," she said. Jake smiled faintly. "I just try to pay attention and help where I can." Emily nodded, realizing that his thoughtfulness and care were not accidental. They were part of who he was, a man of integrity, respect, and kindness. She felt a growing trust in him, knowing that he would always act with good intentions and honor. As the seasons changed, so did their relationship. Emily and Jake spent time together beyond work, walking along the fields, sharing stories, and enjoying quiet moments of companionship. Their bond, once fragile after the barn incident, had grown into a steady and meaningful friendship, built on mutual respect, understanding, and care. By the end of the year, the farm was alive with the colors of autumn. The fields were golden, the trees were ablaze with red and orange leaves, and the air was crisp and cool. Emily and Jake continued their work side by side, each day strengthening the trust and connection that had become the heart of their relationship. They had faced challenges, learned from mistakes, and discovered the importance of patience, empathy, and honesty. Their friendship had been tested, yet it had grown stronger, proving that understanding, care, and respect could overcome fear and discomfort. As the sun set over the farm one final time that autumn day, Emily and Jake stood together at the edge of the fields, watching the colors fade into the soft hues of evening. There was a quiet sense of peace between them, a recognition of the bond they had built, the lessons they had learned, and the future they could face together, guided by trust, care, and understanding. The winter had arrived quietly on the farm, covering the fields with a thin layer of frost and bringing a crisp chill to the air. Emily moved through the farm early in the morning, carrying water to the animals, her breath forming small clouds in the cold air. Despite the chill, there was a warmth in her heart. The farm, with its daily routines and quiet beauty, had become a place of comfort, and Jake's presence had made it even more so. Jake arrived shortly after, leading his horse carefully along the frosty path. He carried a small bundle of hay and greeted Emily with a friendly nod. "Good morning, Emily. Looks like a frosty day," he said, his voice calm and steady. Emily smiled. "Yes, but it's not too bad. The animals need us and we have work to do." Together, they went about their chores, checking the animals, feeding them, and ensuring the barn was secure from the winter weather. Their movements were comfortable and synchronized, a reflection of the trust and understanding that had grown between them over the months. Emily noticed how careful Jake was with every action, how he anticipated the needs of the farm, and how he remained attentive to her without being overbearing. After finishing with the animals, they moved to the house to help Emily's father with tasks indoors. Firewood needed to be stacked for the cold nights, and vegetables had to be stored safely. Jake worked diligently, carrying heavy logs and arranging them neatly by the fireplace. Emily assisted him, and together they made the work light and even enjoyable. The rhythm of their cooperation, built over months of shared effort, felt natural and reassuring. Later that afternoon, Emily and Jake went outside to check the fences and ensure that the livestock was safe from the harsh winter wind. The sky was clear, the air cold but bright, and the farm looked peaceful under the low winter sun. As they walked along the fields, Emily glanced at Jake and smiled. "You've done so much for this farm," she said softly. "I don't know how we could manage without you." Jake shook his head modestly. "I've only helped where I could. You and your father do all the hard work. I'm just glad I can be here to help." Emily felt a surge of appreciation. She had seen Jake's quiet dedication over many months, the way he cared for the animals, repaired fences, and helped with every small task. She realized that his kindness and integrity were a part of who he was, and she respected him deeply for it. As they walked, a sudden gust of wind blew across the fields, rattling the trees and lifting fallen leaves into the air. Emily instinctively held onto her coat, feeling the cold bite at her cheeks. Jake noticed and moved closer, offering his arm for support. "Careful, Emily," he said softly. "It's slippery in some places." Emily took his arm, grateful for the gesture. The simple touch was comforting, a reflection of the bond they shared. She realized that over the months, Jake had become more than just a helper or a friend. He had become someone she could rely on, someone she trusted completely. They continued walking until they reached the edge of the farm, where the view stretched across the open fields and distant hills. The winter sun cast long shadows and the frost sparkled like tiny diamonds on the grass. Emily paused, taking in the beauty of the scene. "It's so peaceful here," she said, her voice filled with wonder. "Even in the cold it feels alive." Jake smiled, standing beside her. "It's the hard work and care that makes it alive," he said. Every action we take, every task we complete, it all matters. That's what makes the farm what it is. Emily nodded, feeling the truth in his words. She looked at Jake, realizing how much he had become a part of the farm and her life. "You've taught me a lot, Jake," she said softly. "Not just about work, but about patience, respect, and caring for others." Jake's eyes met hers and he nodded. "And you've taught me too, Emily, about trust, understanding, and how important it is to be considerate. I've learned more than I ever expected from this place and from you." A quiet smile passed between them, and for a moment, there was only the soft sound of wind and the distant call of birds. Emily felt a sense of peace and gratitude. The awkwardness of the past, the mistakes and misunderstandings all seemed like distant memories now. What remained was the bond they had built, strong and steady, built on trust, care, and mutual respect. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, they returned to the barn to finish their work for the day. Jake helped secure the animals and Emily arranged feed and supplies. They moved together efficiently, their actions in harmony, reflecting the months of shared labor and companionship. When the chores were done, they stepped outside again, watching as the sky turned brilliant shades of orange and pink. Emily felt a warmth in her chest as she looked at Jake. "I'm glad you came to this farm," she said softly. Jake smiled, a gentle expression that made Emily's heart feel lighter. "Me too, Emily. I can't imagine being anywhere else." The quiet of the evening settled over the farm, filled with the soft sounds of animals settling in for the night and the gentle rustling of leaves. Emily and Jake walked together to the farmhouse, their steps slow and relaxed. They knew each other well now, not just through words, but through shared experiences, understanding, and unspoken trust. Inside the house, Emily's father greeted them warmly. "You've both worked hard today," he said, his voice filled with pride. "I appreciate all you do for this farm, Jake. And Emily, I'm proud of you too." Emily smiled, feeling the warmth of her father's approval. She glanced at Jake and they shared a quiet look of understanding. They had come a long way, from an awkward and tense moment in the barn to a friendship built on respect, trust, and care. As night fell, Emily and Jake settled near the fireplace. The warmth of the fire filled the room, and the farm outside was quiet under the blanket of winter. Emily reflected on the journey they had shared, the mistakes, the lessons, and the growing connection. She realized that their bond was now unshakable, built on honesty, patience, and understanding. Jake looked at Emily, his expression calm and sincere. "Emily, I want you to know that I'll always be here for you. No matter what happens on this farm or in life, you can count on me." Emily felt a sense of comfort and trust wash over her. "And I'll always be here too, Jake. You've become an important part of my life, and I'm grateful for that." The warmth of the fire, the quiet of the night, and the connection between them created a feeling of peace that neither had felt before. The mistakes of the past were behind them, replaced by a friendship and something deeper that had grown stronger with each passing day. In the weeks that followed, their bond continued to flourish. They worked side by side, shared stories and laughter, and supported each other through the challenges of farm life. Every day, they discovered new reasons to respect and admire each other, and the trust they had built became a foundation for a lasting friendship. The farm, once simply a place of work and routine, had become a home filled with trust, care, and quiet companionship. Emily and Jake had learned valuable lessons about patience, understanding, and the importance of respecting boundaries. They had seen how mistakes could lead to growth and how trust, once built carefully, could become a source of strength. As the winter sun set, casting a soft golden glow over the frost-covered fields, Emily and Jake stood together outside the barn, looking out across the farm they had nurtured together. Emily felt a sense of contentment she had never known before. The challenges they had faced, the lessons they had learned, and the friendship they had built all came together in this moment of quiet peace. Jake turned to Emily, his expression calm but full of warmth. "I'm glad we met, Emily. You've taught me more than I ever expected, and I hope we continue to learn from each other." Emily smiled, feeling the truth in his words. "I'm glad too, Jake. And I hope we always stay this close, helping each other and growing together." In the stillness of the winter evening, the farm seemed to hold its breath. The bond between Emily and Jake, built over months of shared work, understanding, and respect, had reached a place of quiet strength and stability. They had faced mistakes, awkward moments, and challenges, Yet they had emerged stronger and closer. As the stars appeared one by one in the clear night sky, Emily and Jake knew that their friendship and the trust they shared would guide them through the seasons to come. The farm, with its simple beauty and daily routines, had become a place of learning, growth, and quiet joy. And in each other they had found a companion, a friend, and someone they could rely on through all the challenges of life. The winter night wrapped the farm in quiet serenity, and Emily and Jake stood together, feeling the warmth of their connection. The past mistakes, the awkward moments, and the fears had been replaced by understanding, respect, and a deep bond that could not easily be broken. In each other, they had found a steady presence, a partner in both work and life, and a friendship that promised to endure through all seasons, just like the farm itself.